Welcome back to another video on my channel. I'm hoping you're doing good, and today I want to give you an overview of the Q4 results and fiscal year 2021 for Ouster LiDAR. I'm just having a look at different LiDAR companies, and I wanted to give you an update on, well, especially myself right now, an update on the results, and wanted to make a video about the developments in this or for this company. And before I start, this is no financial advice. This is just me doing an informational and entertainment video about the company and the results they reported for the fiscal year 2021 and Q4 21. And I'm also invested a little bit in the company, and therefore I'm biased. So keep this in mind. So without further ado, let's go into it. So I'll show you a few of the slides from the investor presentation, and to start with, the revenue for 2021 fiscal year was 34 million and the gross margin was 27%. So now, since we have the numbers, we can compare it to the initial guesstimates, I'd say, from the initial presentation for this back merger and then for the 2021 guidance. So therefore I jumped to the Q1 2021 presentation, and the revenue was guided with 33 to 35 million and the gross margins between 25 and 27%. So they achieved this, at least for the revenue. They were in the middle. Gross margin were on the upper end. So if you compare it now to the estimates which they put in for the initial presentation, you can also see they had 34 million in revenue and 26% in gross margin. So to conclude, at least these two parameters, they met at least the estimates they had in the beginning, which is a positive sign. However, they also have some more points which are, in my opinion, negative, but I will come back to this later on. So what I'm a little bit confused right now is the number of unit shipped, and it's around 6,500. However, they estimated on the initial investor presentation that would sell around 8,000 units. So, and what is confusing me right now is the fact that they delivered or meet the expectations for the revenue and also for the gross margin. However, they ship less units. So this is something which doesn't make sense to me right now, and I have no reason why this is the case. Maybe it's because of the unit shipped and they sold more already. However, I didn't ship them. I'm not sure, maybe. However, I think it's not a big part in general, just keep this in mind. So the Q4 2021 results, the gross margin was 30% for this quarter, and I think it was the CFO, I'm not sure about that, told that with every sensor produced, the margins are getting slightly better, even despite the fact that the supply chains are strained right now. And the unit ships have been, that was all I wanted to say before. And another thing to mention is that they have now 86 SCAs, and in comparison to the Q3 2021, they have now approximately 500 in potential contracted revenue in comparison to the 407 in the Q3. It's a little bit less, however, it's I think also a little bit cyclical, and since Q4 was the holiday season, there was probably not that much going on. So as I mentioned before, I'm not quite sure how they get the revenue right and the gross margin right with the number of sensors shipped, and I just matched these or the number of sensors shipped in the different segments together with the gross margins which they laid out in the initial investor presentation. This is on page 19. the expected gross margins down here. So for the industrial, it's 50%, for smart infrastructure and robotics, it's 60%, and for the automotive, it's 25%. So if you have a look, the highest number of censorship was automotive, which is the lowest gross margin. However, in total, there is around 66%, which is 50% gross margin or more. And then in total, it would average around 45% margin, at least in my example, or when I calculated it. And this is in contrast to the 27% gross margin. However, as I said before, it would make sense, at least in my opinion, that the gross margin was in fact higher, since they didn't ship that many sensors. But yeah, not 100% sure if I'm making a mistake right now, because yeah, would be drastically higher with the 45% than the expected 30%. Okay, to the process or progress update. So they introduced the new L2X chip. I will come back to this later, because this is a little bit interesting, I think. And they also put out a full year 2022 guidance, and the revenues should be between 65 million and 85 million. And despite the fact that there's a quite big gap between the low and high estimate, it's still between 60 and 80% of the initial estimate of 107 million, which they put out in the initial investor presentation for the year 2022. So this is a negative part, definitely. And if you have a look, they have to cut right now, I think, for the first full year or the second full year as a public company, the estimates of the revenue quite substantially. So how likely do you think these numbers later on will be correct? So I highly doubt that these numbers still are accurate, but hope they're right. And but as I said before, these projections 5 years out are ridiculous, to be honest, because it's hard enough to guess 2 years out. As you can see, they didn't manage to get these numbers right, and therefore it does make sense for me, at least, to put these numbers out there. So I would discount these quite substantially, I think. So if you cut it down by half, maybe this should sound about right, I think. Yeah, maybe a little bit more, but we'll see. So take it quarter by quarter and then year by year, and see what is happening right now. So margins is about the same. I think in the initial investor presentation they have 31. Yep, it's a little bit less. However, I think they should get in on the higher end here. But we'll see how they manage to do this. Just know you about the TAM in general, and then the product updates, the L3 chip, as I mentioned before. This is something I will come back later. And then they have the solid state sensors for the automotive. So coming back to the L3 chip, and as you can see, they put out the L2X in 2021. It still has the 40 nanometers. And if we jump back to the initial investor presentation on page 15, there was the chipsets, and they wanted to produce an L3 in 2021 with also different specifications comparison to the L2. However, they didn't make this up, and also they wanted to put out the L4 in 2022. So, and as you can see, they produced the L2X in 2021 with the same nanometer as before, and then the L3 got delayed to 2022, and there's nothing about the L4 anymore. So maybe they decided to put out the an intermediate between the L2 and L3. But still, this is also I'd say a little bit negative in general. the one hand that they had too late, and on the other hand that they didn't progress on the nanometer part over here. But as they point out, it's 2x of the performance, and therefore it's in general an improvement. So this is okay, but still, I think, yeah, an advancement in the nanometer area would also be very helpful. So, and here's now just again, as I said before, the overview for the semi solid state LiDAR for the automotive area, and they were quite confident to get out in an OEM in 2025 or 2026 down the road. So they sounded quite confident on the conference call. And I think this is all it. To sum it up, positive that they met the expectations for the 2021 fiscal year. However, negative, the guidance for the 2022 fiscal year was, I think it's between 60 and 80% of the initial estimated 106 million revenue. So this is down. However, if you just put it in perspective, the share price is also down from $10 to 3.5. So it's still in the same relation, or even better relations than when the initial presentation was held. So something to keep in mind, and yeah, I will be following, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, these companies, and then see from quarter to quarter and year to year how they produce, if they could meet the expectations or not, and really looking forward how this turns out, and hope you found the video helpful, and if so, please hit like and subscribe, and hope you're having a good day. Till next time, bye bye.